Okay, I'm back again with a cool video. This time I'm showing you how to take your normal old 1 minute, 5 minute lasting UPS and turn it into a monster UPS. UPSs are uninterruptible power supplies, is basically what it's called. What they do is they provide power in the event of a power problem, such as a brownout, a surge, or a complete power loss. They provide temporary power, a couple of minutes like I said, to your desktop computer, your network, in order for you to safely shut that equipment down without damaging it. The main problem with UPSs is, you can get the basic ones that only cost 30, 40, 50 bucks, but they only run your computer for a minute. And that's if you have a basic computer. I don't have that basic of a computer. It's a quad core with a graphics card in it. It's just small enough to run on this 350 VA power supply, which is the smallest one you can get from APC. And I'm pushing it. I mean, I'm right up against that 350 VA with my router and everything, my monitor. And I'm luckily enough that it does stay on whenever blackouts happen. I have tested it. It has been in a blackout and has been able to provide power for my computer for up to a minute. But the bad thing is, that just running your computer for a minute or two off of the small battery that's inside this one has a 3.4 amp hour battery, actually damages the battery, since the battery's too small to handle that type of a load. I wouldn't even pull 50 watts out of this, and this APC 350 is pulling up to 200 watts out of it. It's a lot of power. It actually damages the battery because it drains it so fast and causes internal resistance, which is why people with UPSs usually have to replace their battery every couple of years. And that's the same story for me. Every 2 years I'm getting $30 battery replacements, and that's very expensive after you think about it, since I've had this UPS since 2001 and it's just been replacing battery after battery after battery. It's just annoying and expensive. So what I'm planning on doing is, avoiding damaging the battery by putting a larger one in there and putting in a battery that will last me for a lot longer and has a lot longer lasting warranty. So what I've decided to put in it is this everstart Marine Maxx 875 cranking amp 125 amp hour deep cycle battery. And it's very important that you get a deep cycle battery. If you get a car battery, you can still use it, but make sure that when you use it, you don't want to drain it past 50%, because you can damage and cause internal resistance to a car battery also if you drain it past 50%. But with a deep cycle battery, you can drain this as low as 20% and it'll still provide power and not be damaged. So that's why it's important to get a deep cycle battery if you're going to do this type of application. You can still use a car battery, but you want to make sure that you shut your UPS off in about an hour or so if you're using a car battery. So like I said, deep cycle battery. You're also going to need a multimeter, a battery charger, a inline fuse holder, and a fuse. Since I have a tiny UPS, I'm going to use about a 30 amp fuse. Right now I only have this 15 amp. I'm hoping it works. Very important to have in between the battery and your UPS, just in case something happens. You don't want something happening to this battery and causing a big chemical spill or something like that. You're also going to need some way of connecting your battery to the UPS. Again, my UPS's batteries or its battery cables are just too short to connect to the battery safely. I want to have a little bit of room in between the UPS and the battery, so I got 2 sets of these 30-inch test leads. They're pretty thick gauge wire, about the same gauge as the UPS. They'll work fine, just don't go any thinner than this, especially with that size battery. You're also going to need, well, what I believe is a necessity. Sometimes people don't use it, but a fan, just a small 12-volt computer fan. And actually I didn't get this from a computer. I got this from an old DirecTV TiVo unit that I was throwing out, and I just salvaged the fan and the hard drive. So came in handy. Glad I saved it. You're also going to need a simple on-off switch to turn that fan on and off. You may or may not want to also get one of these little jump lead to car cigarette lighter adapter, so you can plug in a separate power inverter to have an emergency power supply. You know, that's good just in case you want to run higher wattages. Again, my power supply is only 200 watts, so you know it's not going to provide enough power. And one of the most important items when you do this setup is to have a battery box. I got a battery box. Only cost me about $8. Very important just in case the battery leaks or anything like that. Let me go ahead and put everything together and let you see what it looks like. So I'll be back in just a sec. Okay, everything's done. It was pretty easy, not difficult at all. Took me about 20 minutes to do everything, including the cutting and burning, and you'll see what I mean by burning as soon as I turn this UPS over. Okay, so I purposely burned 2 holes in the bottom of the UPS in order to get the wires through. It was so thick, you know, this is that thick ABS plastic, and none of my cutting tools would work on it, so I just grabbed out the blowtorch and blew a couple of holes in it to run my positive negative lead. Positives on the outside, it's insulated. Negatives on the inside, it's also insulated with black electrical tape. I do have a ventilation system, like I said I was going to put in earlier. Simple on-off switch, wired to the battery. Got a small hole in there for the fan to pull the toxic hydrogen gases out and keep it from exploding just in case there's a spark. This fan only draws 0.15 amps, so when I have it hooked up to the charger, it's not going to really affect the charging at all. It's just so small of a load. So, open up, you can see my wiring a little bit in the fan. Here's the battery. I've got the positive lead going to the UPS, insulated, and it also has a 15 amp inline fuse. I'm not going to go for the 30 amp. I think the 15 amp is enough. And my negative leads for the fan and the UPS are just twisted down. Inline fuse and the alligator clip for the positive lead for the fan. Project was pretty easy, pretty inexpensive altogether for the multimeter, all the tools needed and everything. Cost me about $130. Pretty easy project. Definitely has a lot better battery life than one of those larger $400 UPSs for a fraction of the cost. If you're thinking about doing this, I would highly recommend it, but do it at your own risk. You know, this project can be potentially dangerous since you're dealing with a pretty powerful battery that when charging can emit dangerous gases. If you tilt it over, it can leak. So you have to be very careful with this. Again, do it at your own risk. If you're accident prone or you don't think that you can handle this type of a project, just don't do it. But for those of you who can, it's actually pretty darn easy. The only thing you need really is to know how to use a multimeter, because if you have it on the wrong setting or plugged into the wrong spot, you can mess it up. Multimeters have fuses in them, very expensive little fuses, about $4 a piece, and you'll find yourself making a trip back to the store in order to get your multimeter to work. So make sure you know how to use it. I use mine to check the voltage of the battery and the voltage of the AC port coming out of the UPS. Again, very nice, quick, easy project. This is not the final location for this. I'm going to clean out this desk here, put my old desktop in the closet somewhere, and have that in the place of that, and have a I have a big 20-inch box fan behind all of this. This door is going to be constantly open, if not removed, so that the ventilation is pretty good there. But nice, good project. I'm going to do some video updates on this later on to let you know how everything's going, and also let you know run times, because just today I'm not going to be able to tell you how long it's going to run, because it took me 8 hours to charge the battery. Right now it's at night. I'm tired, ready to go to sleep, but I just want to update you guys on that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.